You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again today. Man, we have another show line for y'all today. Today, we're going to talk to our guest. She is Ramona Reed. She is the daughter of Dean Reed, who was Red Elvis is All About. It's a podcast here on iHeartRadio, and she's hosting this amazing podcast to find out more about this situation. So first and foremost, I just want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing?
Good, Shamaya. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. For I'm Refocused Radio, it's a true honor to have you on the show today. When it comes to Dean Reed's history and his career, it was a brief career in Hollywood. Give us a little background. What inspired you to do this podcast?
Well, I actually, when I turned 50, I'm 54 now. When I turned 50, and my mom passed, I decided, you know what, I need to really understand my father's story. And he died when I was 18. Under mysterious circumstances. So then I kind of, here's a word that refocused. I refocused my life a little bit and decided to spend some time archiving and learning a little bit more about my father. And it took about 2 years. And I always knew he was fascinating. And I knew of course, I spent some time with him when I was 17, but I couldn't believe for 2.5 decades. And what I found out was how big he was in the Eastern countries. He was so huge. He acted in so many films, did so many concerts. But more importantly, what I found out was his humanitarian side and how he used his fame as a vehicle to fight for social injustices. And he put his life at risk. And so I thought, right now, there's so much division going on in the world. And the audience is different than, let's say, 20 years ago. And so I thought, what, we need a hero. We need someone to look up to, someone who he represented the people and used his fame to do that. And I thought it was a perfect time to tell the story, and I was able to do so.
And you have an episode that's already out. It was released on December 7th, and that was the first episode. Kind of take the audience back into the episode and give us a little teaser how you kicked off the show.
Yeah, so every Wednesday, and last week we've dropped the first, I think that's what you call it. We dropped the episode, and it's a 6-episode podcast, and we kind of dive into, on the first episode, we kind of dive into, how he got his start. We jump into what a superstar he was. And this is again, his name's Dean Reed. He's an all-American, gorgeous looking guy, gorgeous. And so he has a couple of hit records here, and then Capitol Records decides to take him over to Chile, South America, where, one of his songs actually goes number 1. And when he lands, there are thousands of fans, and he immediately becomes a superstar. So we kind of start to dive into that. And in the 60s, so this actually covers the entire episode, the show covers 60s, 70s, and 80s. And we do kind of cover when he hits Hollywood and he signs contract with Capitol, and then a week later he signs a contract with Warner Brothers to be an actor, and then how he gets over to South America. And it's just really astounding how, you have a couple of hits here, but really when you go somewhere else and land, he just explodes. And again, he's this American guy just kind of, figuring out Hollywood and its mechanics. And then he just takes off. So that's what we cover in episode 1.
Once again, we're talking to Ramona Reed. She's the host of this new amazing show you can hear on iHeartRadio, Red Elvis. all about Dean Reed. And when it comes to his music, it was very popular, and we kind of touched on that. But what has been the reaction to just the whole situation of his music? Because there's some controversy that was also illustrated into the movie Red Elvis, the Cold War Cowboy in that film. It talks about his music basically like almost being, I guess you'd say, not talked about in Russia, US, or in Germany.
Yeah, so, he was one of those triple threats. He was a musician first, an actor, and then he used that fame for political influence and activism. And the nice thing about, what he did is, he was part of the 60s where, and he grew up 50s, where, everything's through rose-colored glasses and it's very romantic. And so those are the songs that he would sing. Then he started to write his own songs and really became very famous for that. Again, representing the people and political songs. But they were, they always had good hooks. They had great lyrics, so that, when he performed in stadiums with 70,000 people, people knew the songs and knew the lyrics, and they were great to sing along to. But, I want to also cover that, he was, again, in the 60s, there was a ton of firsts where he was first sold out records, sold out concerts, the first American rock and roll performer, musician to be invited to Russia in 1966 to do a 3-month tour there. And he just, like I said before, he just exploded. But his music was, music, as you know, is a universal language. It doesn't have any lines or boundaries or anything like that. It gets everybody up. It moves everybody. And it's such a powerful tool to be able to get in the door and to actually make a difference and get everybody back together. And he knew that. And so that's one of the tools in his tool belt that, he used to give influence and to spotlight some of the poverty and lack of medical care and things like that in South America and elsewhere.
Once again, talking to Ramona Reed. You can listen to this podcast, Red Elvis, on iHeartRadio. I want to say thank you for taking time in your schedule talking to us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And remember, an episode drops every Wednesday, and it's 6 episodes, and we're very excited. So thank you so much for having me.